So go ahead and, when you're lying down, bend your knees. Yes, bend your knees. Separate your feet towards the edges of the mat. So you get this internal rotation of the femur heads and they can sink a little bit deeper into the hip sockets. It shouldn't really feel like you're using too much muscular action to keep your legs up. So adjust your feet to a point where it feels like you can rest your legs. And you can do whatever you'd like with your hands. They could be lying down on the sides of the body, or you can have them resting on the belly to kind of follow the breath and see what kind of breath you've brought to the mat this morning or this afternoon. And this is without judgment. We're just noticing, observing, and exploring. There's so much going on around us. There's a lot of vata energy just, coming at us, whether we like it or not, or even trying to monitor it or not. There's still a lot of things that our senses have been exposed to. So these classes are giving you an opportunity to slow down and turn it back inward. What's going on with the body? Noticing that your inhalations are maybe getting a little bit deeper and the exhalations a little bit longer, I want you to focus and bring your awareness to that pause at the end of your exhale. Once the breath or you've emptied the lungs, pause and find that extra deeper level of release there before you take the new breath. If it's uncomfortable, if it makes you feel anxious, don't do it, but see if you can find that rest. The good thing about these begin classes, even if you're not a beginner, is we can still take this time to not just explore what's going on with the body, but to give the body time to shift into a relaxation response. And kicking on the good hormones. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then bringing your feet a little bit closer together, maybe sitting bone width apart, you're going to windshield wipe your legs. So just let them shift to the left, to the right, just to kind of start to create some heat in the pelvic area. Twisting of the spine, a gentle twist. And then keeping the knees back up towards the ceiling after your next rock. Go ahead and straighten the legs and bring the arms overhead and take a long stretch. And then bring your hands back down. Bend your knees once again. You're going to bring the right ankle to the left knee. We're coming into a supine pigeon here. So interlace your fingers behind the left thigh and draw the knee up towards the chest. Keep your feet flexed. And we're gonna shift a little bit. So shift your right knee away from you and kind of drop the tailbone a little bit just to square off the pelvis. Keep the abdominal area soft and let the tongue hang in the lower jaw. See if you can bring the knee a little bit closer. And then exhale, bring both feet down to the mat and do the other side. Left ankle, right knee interlaced behind the right thigh. Once you draw the knee up towards the chest, see if you can shift your left knee away from you a little bit and drop your tailbone towards the mat. Let the head rest, let the shoulders rest. See if you can bring the right knee a little bit closer to the body. And then go ahead and release. Bring just the right foot down to the floor and then cross the left leg all the way over the right. So your legs are crossed. You're gonna drop your knees, drop your legs off the right side of the mat to come into a twist. Extend the arms out to the sides. If you don't feel much of a stretch here, you can also goalpost the arms or goddess arms to try to lengthen the pectoral muscles. Another challenge in these slower classes is your mind will want to keep busy. So try to follow the breath and stay on that rhythm. Next exhale, bring the knees back up towards the ceiling, uncross the legs, and now cross the right over the left. Drop the legs off to the left. The abdominal area is soft here, as soft as it can be, so the organs can get that massage and that movement, the squishing around. And take one more breath, and as you exhale, bring the knees back up towards the ceiling. Uncross the legs. Lift your knees up to the chest, hugging both of them, just lifting them one at a time, and then rocking left to right. Releasing the lower back muscles, getting them nice and squished. And then you'll roll onto your side and bring yourself into a child's pose. You can pause, take your time. We're not in a hurry. So big toes together, knees separated. We're lengthening the spine here. So you can reach the arms forward, press the fingertips into the mat to open the shoulders a little bit. But see if you can spread the shoulders away from each other, if that makes sense. Soften the heart towards the mat a little bit. Yes. And we're talking a lot about grounding this week too. We need that grounding right now. See if you can feel the heaviness in the pelvis, grounding down towards the heels. So you can feel stable and rooted. We'll take one more breath here. And then lift the head, walk the hands towards the body just a little bit because we're gonna walk off to the right. So walk your hands off the right side of the mat and soften. Really try to access the lower back muscles here on the left side of the body, the QL muscles, and feel the breath filling up the left side of the body. Feel that space and expansiveness. Still feeling grounded through the pelvis. Inhale, lift. Walk your hands to the left as far as you can. And so we're going to play today a little bit with opposite actions and the power of the mind, really. We'll be in the same posture, but we're going to look at it in different ways as far as feeling light and feeling grounded. So continue to breathe here, expanding the right side of the body. And then inhale, lift, back to center. Reach one more time. And then lift the head, walk the hands towards each other so the knees can line up back under the hips. We're going to thread the needle. So left hand to the center, inhale the right arm up. We're looking for a counter twist here for the spine. Exhale, slide it through nice and slow. Reach the right fingertips as far as you can. You get to choose here how you want to use your left arm. It could be bent and you're pressing so you go deeper into the twist. It could be off the top of your mat, or it could be behind your back to put some more weight into your twist. Maybe just explore what works for you today. Maybe reach the right fingertips a little bit further. And then go ahead on your next exhale, come back up to hands and knees. Did you feel a stretch in your shoulders, Kate? Okay, right hand to the center, inhale the left arm up, and then exhale it through. Yogi's choice, whatever you want to do with that right hand. Reasonably. I don't think there's much you can do with it other than the 3 options I gave you. This is a good opportunity to find some back body awareness too. Carry your breath between the shoulder blades, creating space back there. Reach the left fingertips a little bit further away from the body. Taking one more breath. And then exhale back up to hands and knees. Okay, so walking the hands pretty close towards the top of the mat. We're gonna do big hip circles. So you're gonna shift your body weight forward, to the right, to the back, to the left. Like you're hitting all 4 corners of the mat on your hands and knees, but it's really just big circles with the hips. You'll do 3 in one direction and then 3 in the other direction, and taking your time. Once you're finished, you'll just come back to hands and knees and a neutral spine and begin your Tadasana movement or your cat pose. The good thing about you guys knowing your yoga practice already is I don't have to show you what that is. I can just say it. So arch, yep, inhale, drop the belly. Let everything hang towards the mat on that inhale. And then exhale, press the thighs towards the face. Really press the hands and the tops of the feet into the mat as you arch. And move with your breath. It doesn't even have to be a static movement back and forth. You can add the shoulders, the hips. You can move side to side. And when you're dropping your head, release the head completely. Just let it dangle. Let's do one more round. And then we'll meet with a flat back, hands and knees. We're gonna do our bird dog balance, and we're gonna add a little bit of movement to it just for some strengthening. So just right away, right leg behind you, lift with the inner thigh, keep the toes pointed down. Left arm extends out in front of you, bicep to ear. You're pressing out through the heel and like somebody's pulling you through the fingertips or from the fingertips. Don't let the belly dip here. Keep the navel up towards the spine. And then as you exhale, on your next exhale, arch and bring the knee and the elbow towards each other. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it together. Drop the head. Inhale, reach one more time. And then exhale, back down, hands and knee, hand and knee back down. We'll do the other side. Before we do the other side, I think you guys look pretty good in here. Jody, just checking your wrist creases, your inner elbows. Inner elbows should be facing, they don't have to be directly facing each other, but they should be moving in that direction for sure, yes. And even for a moment, just kind of rotate them out and notice the difference here. If you try to do a handstand or something like that, even if you're not interested in that, but bearing weights when your arms are ungrounded with them out is going to be dangerous long term. So rotating in, you'll feel a hollowing of the armpits, and that's what we want. Serratus muscles wake up. All right, extend the left leg behind you. Lift from the inner thigh, toes pointing down. Right arm out in front of you. Reach straight forward. Nice straight arm, straight leg. Reaching, pulling, pushing, reaching. Navel to spine. Exhale, elbow to knee. It's okay. Inhale, extend. You're just following your breath. Exhale, bring it together. Pull yourself together, literally. Inhale, extend. And then exhale, bring the knee and the hand back down. Okay, so top of the right hand is going to press onto the mat for a wrist stretch here. The more you shift your weight back, the more you're going to feel the stretch. The fingertips are pointing towards the body. And go ahead and release, shake the hand out, do the other side. I already had my practice this morning at 5:30 a.m. So my arms are sore and I'm perfectly fine just sitting here. I did my 50 chaturangas. Ugh. Yes. Yes. Yep. We had a student in here from Mysore. Go ahead and shake it out. Okay. Bring the right leg forward. Do some easy lunging here. Right leg forward. I mean, if you're really excited about lifting the back leg, you can, but why? You don't have to. Shift your hips forward. Shoulders back, neck is long. Shift your hips back to neutral. Press the front foot into the mat. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. 2 more times like that. Exhale, nice and slow. Have your focus point. Exhale. Good. Hands back down. Right leg is going to externally rotate, come into that pigeon. So knee drops, left leg extends back. If you have something nearby that you need to put under the right buttocks, you can. It would just go under the sitting bone. But if you feel that your pelvis is pretty parallel, you'll be fine without it. You can press the top of the left foot into the mat just to kind of shift around, and then lengthen through the crown of the head. And maybe you walk down to your forearms. And I want you to stay on your forearms for a moment because we're going to play with this. Not play with it, but I just want you to have a little bit of pelvic awareness here. We're talking about grounding that has everything to do with the pelvis. See if you can shift the right side of your pelvic floor up towards the left lower back. Do you feel that? You feel the shift in your pelvis? Yes, you can actually pay attention to one side of your pelvic floor and not the other.
I feel the stuff still mostly in my keister.
Like in the actual buttocks muscle? Ah. Okay, so try to not move with your butt. Your butt's going to want to take over because it's a large muscle. See if you can not let the muscle take over, but actually move with your pelvic floor to keep the toning of the pelvic floor. Don't let the abdominal muscles kick in either. They're going to want to, right? So you're kind of just pushing your right side of your pelvic floor towards the left lower back, opposite. Do you feel that, Jody?
Mm-hmm.
It's very subtle, but yes, the trifecta of the buttocks, the quadriceps, or the abdominals, they'll want to take over. We'll try to not let them. Go ahead and go all the way down at this point if you want to go further. Pelvic floor health is super important. There are some yoga studios that focus just on like pelvic health. It's so important. Yes, it's holding in some pretty important stuff.
Yeah, it's like a little hair dangling out. You don't want that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you meant the pelvic floor.
No.
We'll take one more breath here. Try to even out the shoulders, soften the spine in between the shoulder blades. Keep the shoulders away from the ears, even here as we're resting. Your arms still need to add some strength. Bring your palms back to the mat. Curl the back toes under, support yourself with your arm strength. We're just going back to hands and knees. With your right leg, you can extend it. You can do big circles with your knee. Just move that hip joint around if that feels good. And then we'll move on to left foot forward. See if you can get the knee. As we shift our pelvis forward, as we know, the pelvis is below the knee. It's okay for the knee to go over the ankle. That doesn't mean it has to be shooting way over the ankle. You can scoot your toes forward. But just saying, as long as the pelvis is behind the knee, you're okay. Feel stretch in the front of the right leg. You can use blocks here too. Keep the collarbones spread and the neck long. And then shift the hips back to neutral. Press the front foot. Inhale, bring the arms up. Just 3 big breaths here. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Again. One more time. Look down at the mat, bring your hands down, externally rotate the left leg. Come into your pigeon pose. Press the top of the right foot. Be sure that that back leg the toes are in. You guys know it. You're tighter on this side, yeah? Do you have a block or something with you? Okay. You can, do you think you'll soften into this, or is that your limit for today? Okay, take a couple breaths. If not, just come out of it and you can do it on your back or something. Yeah. All right. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Come down to your forearms maybe, or stay where you are. Shoulders are back. Bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. The left side of your pelvic floor is going to lift towards the lower right back. It causes this very small shift. It's more of a like a visceral, I mean, your pelvic floor is working, but you feel it more internally than you can see it outwardly. Do you feel it on this side, or is your...
My mom's taking over. I mean, I think my pelvic floor, like, I never know, like, if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Like, I just don't feel it.
Yeah. We should, we can have a class that, so because when you're lying on your back, there's some things that are, actually, when we'll lie down on our backs towards the end of the class. We'll do the Supta Hasta Padangusthasana where we grab the big toe. We'll use a strap. Lying down is really the easiest way to feel the pelvic floor.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try that.
Well, I mean, someone just doing yoga, it's good for your pelvic floor, even if you don't think that your pelvic floor is working.
Yeah, because you'll probably automatically be engaging it, even if you think you're not, but you probably are. We'll take one more breath here. And then start to lift yourself up, curl the back toes under. And then bring yourself back to hands and knees, rotate the left ball and socket joint. And when we're talking about, and you can just come to hands and knees or just sit on your heels for a minute, but when we're talking about like Mula Bandha and then Uddiyana Bandha, you know, the locks that we do, the Mula Bandha it involves the pelvic floor, but not just like the Kegels that we're familiar with. You're actually engaging number 1 and number 2 up, and then also having this awareness of the outer, you know, because the pelvic floor is like a big parachute on the bottom of the pelvis. So you're also like feeling like you're drawing in your sitting bones kind of, and everything is lifting. So you're probably doing it without knowing. And the weird thing about the yoga locks is traditionally you're supposed to lock the belly first and then the pelvic floor. I don't know why, but as long as you're lifting up is the important thing, I guess what I'm trying to say. That's advanced yoga, you know. But, you know, people can stand on their heads all day or like break their backs in half, but they might have the weakest pelvic floor. Exactly. So not in judgment, but just in awareness. You'll never know what advanced yoga really is. All right, here we go into our first down dog. Let's make it a good one. Well, let's make all of them good ones. Watch your wrist creases, spread the fingers. Press the ball mounds of the big fingers, especially deep in the armpits. Curl the toes under, lift the hip sockets up and back. Whew, my arms feel this morning. So while you're up here in your down dog, just go ahead and walk it out at first. Just feel your legs. I want you to focus on 2 things. The first thing is press the ball mounds of your big toes into the mat and see what that does to the heads of your femurs. It should internally rotate your legs a little bit more and lift your sitting bones up. You should feel some sort of shift, yes? And then look up at your thumbs really quick. And so over time, our thumbs will want to squish onto the sides. They're not actually supposed to do that. See if you can press your entire thumb into the floor. Thumb muscles. So it almost feels like you're having this suction cup with your hands, but you're still pressing in all the right places. All right, lengthen through the tailbone. Inhale, look up. Step forward, but don't stand up yet. Separate the feet hip width apart. Grab opposite elbows and dangle. Drop the head. Completely drop the head. And so here you're pressing the ball mounds of the big toes, lifting the sitting bones, protecting the hamstring attachments. Your knees can be bent. If your hamstrings are tight, that's fine. But the more internally rotated your upper leg bones are, the more your hamstrings can release. Engage the quadriceps. The upper part of your body is just flowing forward. And you can even move the neck around a little bit as you dangle it. Bring your fingertips back to the mat. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the back and reach the fingers, well, knuckles really, up towards the ceiling or as far as they'll go. Release the hands. Bring your hands to your shins. Lengthen through the crown of the head. That's a lot of upside downing to just come right up. Slightly bend the knees. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Okay, can we do 2 sun salutations here? Ready? And because it's a begin class, you can use your knees for chaturanga if you want. It's, you know, like give yourself permission to do that if you want to. Begin in Tadasana though, the front of your mat, inner edges of the feet are parallel. Lift the arches. And take a look at your inner elbows here and notice where they're facing since we're talking about inner elbows. If the inner edges of your shoulder blades are working the way they should be, your inner elbows should be pointing straight out, and that's your posture, which you both have. How are yours, Jody? Good? Okay. Go ahead and bring the arms up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to here. Inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale, step back, chaturanga. Elbows touch the sides of the body. Inhale, just a cobra here. And then exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Use your new tool of pressing the ball mounds of the big toes. 1. 2. 3. Jody, lift your sitting bones up towards the ceiling a little bit. Yep. 4. 5. Inhale, look up, step forward. Exhale, fold, drop the head. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Palms together, exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good, 1 more time. Inhale, up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 1. Deep breaths here. 2. 3. You can bend your knees a little bit more, Jody. Yes, I can tell your hamstrings are tight. That's really good. 4. But they'll start to listen to you. 5. Inhale, look up, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Okay, so remember that thing I was telling you about lifting up and grounding down. We're gonna do that now. It's so cool. There's so many birds flying around here all the time up here, like second story bird play. It's really cool. Okay, we're gonna start actually with triangle. It's a little bit less accessible through triangle, but we're still gonna do it. So bring the right leg up and out. And you guys can actually face the windows if you want. We don't need to do that in this class. So yeah, just separate the feet. Doesn't matter if it's your right foot. But thank you for listening to my guidance and trusting me. Right toes out from the hip socket. Learn to move the body from the hip socket, not the joint. The joint is not a ball and socket, it's a hinge, and it will break if you try to turn it too much over time, you know? So really think about that movement coming from the ball and socket joint. Okay, back toes in a little bit. We're taking this slow. Right fingertips to the hip crease. Push in the hip crease to lengthen the back of the leg. Talk about hamstrings. There they are. Now look at your knee. Now that your leg is nice and long, look at your knee, engage the quadriceps. So they're rotating out. If your knee's not over your second and third toe, micro bend the knee and muscularly make the knee happen over the second and third toe. If your ball mount of the big toe starts to lift, press it. And it's just this dance of back and forth and getting stronger. Now inhale, extend the arms. Right arm reaches as far as it can. Exhale, bring the hand down to a block or the inner leg. We're using the inner leg today. And then, or if you can grab your toe if you're good. Left shoulder back, left fingertips up. All right. Soften the top ribs. Looks good. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Are your thighs still engaged? Press the feet. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, come back to the front of your mat. It's very sleepy in here today as you yawn. All right, separate the feet again. If you felt like that was a little bit pushing it, grab your block for the other side. It's okay if you use a block just from one side, not the other. Don't let the perfectionist in you take that joy away. From the left hip socket, rotate the toes out. Left fingertips pushing into the left hip crease. Get that leg nice and long. Now I can still be here with my, like, feel your knee. I can still be here without my quadriceps being engaged. If I can move my knee around, I'm gonna be in trouble. Engage the legs. Line up your knee with your second and third toe. Reach with the left arm. And then exhale, bring it down, right fingertips up. It's really irrelevant to have the fingertips up. You don't even have to add that today if you don't want to. You want to focus more on the legs. How does that feel, Jody? It's rough on, yeah, okay, good. See if you can deepen your left hip crease a little bit and lengthen the torso, like out through the crown of the head, and kind of separate those. Yeah, that's good. Good. Take one more breath here. Try to really stack the shoulders. Press the feet. Inhale, come up. Exhale, back to the front of your mat. Okay. Right leg's gonna come back. We're gonna do warrior 1. So before we even get started with the legs and bending the knees and stuff like that, make sure both of your hip points are facing directly off the front of your mat. If this is hard, widen, separate the feet widthwise a little bit, and just keep wrapping that right hip forward. Drop the tailbone, bend into the knee. Yeah, I'm surprised my knee can, it's because I already did a lot of stuff this morning. Normally my psoas is way too tight to like go very far on this side. I can really feel it pulling. Okay, bear with me, right? We're talking about pelvic floor. Left, or I'm sorry, right side of the pelvic floor. Lift it up towards the left side of the back, lower back. So like the right groin kind of goes back a little bit and your left hip lifts just a little bit. I saw yours move good. Did you feel it here? Okay. Add the arms. Feel your feet on the mat and feel that grounding energy in this pose. Even though the arms are up, feel your whole body just grounded. Bring your pinkies towards each other a little bit. Yep. Straighten the arms, even if you have to lower them some. And now press your feet and feel all of your energy lift up through the fingertips. Press the outer edge of the back foot. We're keeping the legs. We're bringing the arms down and interlacing the fingers behind the back. Lengthen. Exhale, fold towards the inner leg. Knuckles come up. Press the feet, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale back to the front of your mat. Just release everything. Did the pelvic floor thing feel better in this pose than it did when you were smashing everything? Like it was easier to lift? Yeah, and when you're on your back, there's nothing constricting that, so it's easier to feel. Okay, let's do the warrior one on the other side. I'm gonna give a different cue this time and see if it feels better. So left leg back, both hip points forward. Press the outer edge of the back foot. Bend into the front knee. I have way too much lordosis in my lower back right now, too much curviness. So I need to take the inner head of my left femur and push it back. Did you feel that? Okay. And so now I'm tipping forward, so I need to keep that space that I created and lift up. Can I add the arms? So sometimes, like for a long time, my warrior actually looked like this. My psoas was so tight. It's a little bit better. But warrior one is just like doing this, right? It's so easy. You can bend your front knee a little bit more. Yeah. They are. They're super tough. So let's stay here longer. Just kidding. Go ahead and lower the hands, interlace the fingers behind the back, lift the chest as you inhale, and then as you exhale, fold forward. Pressing both feet. See if you can lift the knuckles up towards the ceiling a little bit. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release everything, come back to the front of your mat. Jody, which cue did you like better, the femur head cue or the pelvic floor cue?
I think the femur head one worked better for me.
Okay. I mean, in a regular begin class, a student would be like, what the heck is a femur head? I mean, we know what our femurs are, but I talk about the head of the femur so much with you guys that, like, you know, the inner heads of the femurs, like when we're in, like come into Tadasana for a moment, press the ball mounds of the big toes. Bring the inner heads of both femurs back. Should lift your sitting bones a little bit, yeah? And then it begins to feel like you're ripping the mat apart with your feet. Like that's always what we're kind of aiming towards. All right, go ahead and release that. Let's do tree pose because tree pose is not easy, but it's just kind of like, it's an easy one to vibe in, I guess. All right. Doesn't matter where your foot is. You can keep it down here, but find your tree with your right knee bent. If you're gonna bring the foot up, that's fine. Just don't put it on the knee. If you're pressing it to the inner thigh, it's like you're crushing a diamond in the groin with your heel, pushing into each other. As if.
I do have very intense, really nice.
Okay, let's move the arms here. Inhale up. Exhale down. You can stay with the arms. Yeah, let's just stay here. If you want to keep moving your arms, you can. Stillness and grounding through the foot seem to be. Bring your knee forward, extend, release. Yes. I agree. Jody, we're saying that the universe is just wobbly right now, so we feel wobbly in these standing postures. I'm going to go with that. Go ahead and find your tree on the other leg. Don't worry about how wide your knee comes open. Keep the hip points facing forward. And so here, if you'd like to explore this, the inner head of the right femur goes back. That also helps from the right hip going out. Go ahead and close the knee, extend the leg. Bring it back down. Okay, come to the front of your mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, chaturanga. Lower yourself down, don't come up. Just go all the way down, uncurl the toes. Use your left arm as a pillow, grab your right ankle, bring the heel towards the body. We're resting, we're stretching, shoulders are still back. Go ahead and release, other side. Go ahead and release. And can you just kind of flop onto your back? We don't need to go into anything in between here. And grab your strap if you have it. Okay, so you're lying down on your back. We're doing hand to big toe pose. Left leg is straight. Bring your right foot up, and the strap goes around the ball mound, or the ball of the foot, the ball of the right foot. We will be, yes. So grab the strap with your right hand, left hand stays on top of the left thigh. Before we do anything here, or as we stretch the back of the right leg, take the right pelvic floor and lift it towards the lower left side of the back. And you should feel a shift in your pelvis there. A deepening of the right hip crease.
To move our pelvis, we're moving our hips, right? And then, is that right?
The pelvic floor?
Yeah.
No. Nope. Your hips might shift a little bit. Like your pelvis might shift a little bit. There's a micro movement there. But if it is moving, your abdominals are probably doing the work. It should shift. Like, what are you feeling when you're moving it? Do you feel a big movement in the hips?
Yeah, I just feel my hips moving. I mean,
are your hip muscle, like, are the muscles around the hips moving the hips, or are you doing it internally from your pelvic floor?
I'm trying to do it internally.
Okay.
We need to.
Yeah, we'll make that as part of the next one-on-one for sure. Yeah, if your hips move a little bit, don't worry about it. I think as long as you felt any movement at all is good. And as long as you're aware that the butt and the abdominal shouldn't be doing the movement. Go ahead and before you bring your leg out to the side, start to externally rotate it in the ball and socket. So the knee will be pointing away from you, and start to open it out to the right. So the knee might even start pointing down towards the floor, maybe. Bring it back to center and release. Float the right leg down, the left leg up. Right hand on top of the right thigh. Lift the left side of the pelvic floor to the right lower back. Do you feel it move again?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Drop the left shoulder back towards the floor also. Pressing through the ball mound of the big toe and try to get this leg as straight as possible. You can grab your arm up towards more closer to your foot, Kate, as if you're reaching for the big toe. Yep. Is that too much on your hamstrings?
No, it's just one.
Okay. Okay, so begin to rotate the left leg out in the ball and socket. Yep, good. And then bring it out to the side. Bring it back to center. And go ahead and release. Bring the knees up to the chest, give them a hug. Left to right, rocking back and forth. When you're done with the hugging, take a long stretch. And you guys made it to Shavasana. Can you believe that hour went by so quickly? I feel like it did. So cover up, put some socks on, get cozy. When you're ready, bring the arms back down towards the sides of the body. Palms facing up. And so there's not very many times we have opportunities to let go, unless you're scheduling that into your day aside from yoga class. But take this as your opportunity for release and to let go. Separate the ankles and just surrender. Feel the body soften towards the mat. Feel the bones settle to the back of the body. And even feel a deep release of the muscles and the skin. Using these next few moments to observe, to just be still, and to just be. May you know acceptance. May you accept all that unfolds in your life, the expected and the unexpected, the positive and the negative. May you accept yourself and the circumstances you find yourself in. In choosing acceptance, you choose peace and kindness and compassion. Acceptance requires vast resources, but doesn't waste energy on resistance. Acceptance comes from self-love and creates space for opportunity and transformation. Begin to slowly wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then bring movement into the wrists and the ankles, maybe rolling the head back and forth. And then from here, do what the body is asking for. Stretch, hug the knees, rock. Before moving onto your right side, using your arm as a pillow. After another breath or two, go ahead and push yourself slowly to a seated position. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Thank you for letting me guide you today. The teacher in me honors and appreciates the teacher in you. Thank you.